Two Mortgage Guys podcast, where we have a very special guest today. And I say that because for those of you who haven't really figured this out by listening to my podcast yet, I'm a big nerd. And there's a lot of things in just kind of science fiction and in technology that I really embrace and I like, because I like to see where the future is going, where business is headed, what advertisement's going to do, what marketings are going to change. And, my guy over here across the table from me, Gordan Allen, Bird's Eye VR. Everybody send a little applause out there from your house. We can hear you, I promise. I can't hear you. We are about to go into what his product is, and I guarantee you, if you don't leave fascinated today, there may be something wrong with your speakers and you have to re-listen to it again, because it's a really interesting product and Gordon's an awesome guy. So welcome, Gordan.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me, John. So birdseyeVR.com. Anyone who has never been there, please go check it out. There's a brand new website that we're actually launching this week. We're really, really excited about. We've been working on it for... behind the scenes, realistically, a couple months, because it's a couple new products that we're launching. So we'll dive into that a little bit more. But we're working on some really exciting 3D and VR projects. As you know, we do 3D virtual tours, digital twins, we like to call them. I consider it the future. I know you said you're a big nerd, but if you're not a nerd, then do you even really run the world?
Well played, sir.
There's just so many fascinating things about this technology. And, I guess the best place to start is really how I got into it. Right. Me and my partner, Megan, got into it.
Awesome.
And so we have a bit of a background in the events industry. So we did rock and roll events, corporate events. You name the high-end company or the rock band, we've done their event.
Right.
And we got to research a lot of technology along the way, especially me. I kind of fell into the role of being the video geek, and I just follow all the video guys around, and I learned how to build the LED walls, right? And then I learned how to rig the LED walls, and then I learned how to program the LED wall. And that's where it really started opening these new ideas to new technologies that I wanted to research in video, holograms, everything they're doing for augmented reality, everything they're doing for virtual reality. That all starts usually in the entertainment industry. Mm-hmm. That technology is created for entertainment value first and then functionality. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe it's military first. It's hard to say. I'm sure the government had it before anyone else.
Well, that's fair enough.
But yeah, so that's where it all started, and it all started with me just researching a company called Matterport, and shout out to Matterport cameras. Matterport's a company. They're based out of Sunnyvale. I believe they're right across the street from Facebook, funny enough. And they created this 360 camera. That was their original hardware. And what it does is it basically scans our 6 rotations, and it takes a really, really high-res picture.
Right.
And then through the process of photogrammetry, it stitches them together to create a 360 environment. And so a 360 environment is just like if you guys are on Google Street View, right? And you want to stand on the street and turn, and you get to see everything. That's a 360 picture.
Right.
So what they've done is they've enhanced this technology and they stitched them all together to create a 360 environment. And that's where you're really getting this digital twin. And that's a term you'll hear me use a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's my favorite term. There's so many. The problem I have with virtual tour, I tell people about virtual tour. They're like, yeah, I have a virtual tour. I just walk through the building with my iPhone. That is not a virtual tour. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not doing this product justice at all.
Absolutely. So a digital twin is something that is pretty much going to change how we interact with most brick and mortar buildings for the rest of our lives.
Right.
And what I mean by that is how you buy things, how you research things, how you look into companies, how you interact with a brick and mortar store. That experience that they're providing you online is going to change the way you think about purchasing something. Yep. It's just like walking into Kohl's and seeing that everything's 90% off when it's really not, but that's how it influences your buying, right? Yeah. It's 90% off. So it'll be just like that with digital twins. How they augment your reality and your experience for what's going on is how they're going to keep you as a consumer or a customer.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me.
No, that's incredibly interesting. And it's funny because if you think about it from, like, one of the hardest things to buy online is clothes, right? Because everybody's sizes are different. You never know what exactly it's going to look like. So you take something that has like a virtual reality where you've got all angles of it kind of being virtually exposed, and you can go online and you can go to your Amazons or your other major conglomerates on there, click on that, and now you can spin it so you can actually get the full view of it. And you could potentially even put a people in it. Now you're starting to get what people look like in it and get a little bit better feel.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're doing this, but in a actually grander scale, because you're doing it for businesses, residences, major scale homes. And honestly, I mean, being obviously that I'm in that industry, it's incredibly fascinating to me because I hear real estate agents looking all the time for, good drones, good photographers, good videographers, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not trying to say like these people have no market anymore, but the reality is things are changing, and they need to kind of be prepared for what's going to probably make a client more happy, because at the end of the day, somebody may be moving from the East Coast to a house that's on the West Coast, and now they can literally enter that home from their home and see all the knickknacks and things that they couldn't see in order to possibly buy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And to me, it is, in that respect, it's the truest form you'll ever see a home. So my parents were recently looking, like so many people right now, looking for homes,
Right.
upgrading their homes, and they were finding, pictures of homes, and I would tell them, if it doesn't have a 3D tour, you need to see it in person.
Yeah.
Don't even judge it on a picture, anything like that. Pictures can be photoshopped, they can be falsified. This technology, especially the Matterport and other, the Theta cameras and things like that, what it captures is real. If there's a water bottle on the table and it's in there, it's not coming out. And
Yeah.
it's very hard to manipulate this technology. So it's much easier to see if, maybe there's a problem with the home. Maybe the floorboards are cracked, or maybe
Right.
the floors are broken, and you didn't see that in pictures. So
Yep.
it's definitely starting to become an industry standard. I know
Right.
Zillow already has their own 360 tour technology. They don't utilize Matterport because they basically want people uploading to their private platform, which is like the Zillow 360 platform, which is great. It's very much like Google Street View.
Okay.
It's essentially just 360 stitched together.
But then that means it's less detailed and less interactive.
Yes. It's definitely less interactive, and the detail, it comes down a little bit because the cameras aren't as high quality as the Matterport.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I wanted to touch, because as you're saying a lot of things, and this is no fault of your own, this is the industry, that I'm sure a lot of people just went,
I know, I'm sorry.
like exploded, right?
Sorry.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. Like,
Yeah.
you're passionate about what you do, and this is what it's called. But they can be the layman me sitting on this seat, and we'll take this journey with you. Because the reality of what's going on here is you are basically saying we have technology that you've seen similarly, but better. Mm-hmm. And that the better part about it is that it is, A, going to be more detailed, which is important, and B, be interactive, which is, that's everything nowadays.
Absolutely.
For every product, for everything out there, the more someone has their hands or their senses on it, the bigger impact it's going to make on them. Just hands down.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And, I think I actually brought it up in a conversation we were having not that long ago.
Sure.
And I remember, what I like to tell people is, remember when the internet came out? Late 90s,
Unfortunately.
early 2000s.
Yes, unfortunately, I'm that old.
the dial-up. But you remember the original websites, right?
Oh, yeah.
Text. And then all of a sudden, mid 2008, 2009 era, you started getting really nice navigation bars, right?
Yeah.
Which that was interactive. That was the experience.
Yep.
It was, now things are cataloged, they're refined. I know where things are, I can contact them.
Right.
Now it's an industry standard, right?
Yep.
And there was a time where people, especially brick and mortar businesses, I don't need a website.
Yep.
I don't need a Facebook. I don't need social media. These things are crazy.
Right.
But now if you don't have it, you don't exist.
Yep.
And I very much see that going with this same digital twin technology for brick and mortar businesses. Google is so much behind this that their statistics for what they give you, having a 360 tour of your brick and mortar business, is so much better than if you don't. More people find it. More people are purchasing your things. And that's all them, Google helping you because you help them. Because ultimately they want to scan the world. So.
We can get into Google another time. But that's kind of the reality of the nature of the beast with business, right? So we're trying to create customer experience, because essentially customer experience buys more buyback and a more quality experience for someone to actually feel like they have a product that they're happy that they put their time and money into. And so if you're like, to your point about where the business is going, this is why I've been really interested in talking to you about this. Like, you probably didn't expect some weird mortgage guy to be like, tell me more, but like, I wanted to know more, because really that's what it is. It's like, I can already tell you, like, when I go shopping online, the first thing I do, after I already kind of just found a brief description, I don't look at any of their pictures. I go straight for the customer reviews, I read what they said, and I look at the pictures that they sent. And those pictures are usually super ridiculous because it's somebody's back of their cell phone with their thumb in it, and it's terrible. But the idea is, I'm trying to get a more realistic idea of what I'm dealing with before I potentially go into this product, because I don't have no real relation to it. So you've literally put somebody and said, okay, well, we're going to create the relationship for you by putting you in the product. And that's insane. I mean, jokingly, I mean, that's like that Iron Man Marvel stuff where he's just sitting there and like moving the screens around and putting everything together.
Absolutely.
But that's where it's going, because you get to kind of assemble what you're looking for, and that's incredible.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And to jump back a little bit, just to talk about like what the technology has done, you know, for your industry, for the real estate industry, for multiple industries, but especially what recently happened in the last year and a half in the real estate industry is, I think a lot of agents or real estate companies may have thought this technology was kind of a gimmick. And I think that happens with a lot of new technology. There's this, you know, fear to adopt, or maybe it's like, oh, no one will catch on. But again, it's all just a matter of time. You know, it's the generations that's using VR goggles now is the same generation in 10 years that's going to be buying a home.
Absolutely.
And so a real estate agent that I follow, and I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, but he's out of Colorado, and he actually moved to New York, and he was still selling real estate in Colorado all through VR. He would ship goggles to his high-end clients,
that's awesome,
preloaded with the tours of the homes he was selling, and they would buy only based off seeing them in virtual reality.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and that's proof in the pudding, what we're talking about. Like, are you going to go with an option that maybe if you saw in person you would like better, but you don't have as many tangible things that tied you to it, or the one that submersed you and gave you the confidence to say, okay, I actually fully got to see this thing, so I'm going to go with that.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of the business, is people want to know that their money's being put in a quality spot. And to your point, too, I think, so everyone's always slow to change. I mean, that's just like almost, it might as well be a scientific principle, right? And when it comes to technology, it's even more intensified because of price. And that was the thing that surprised me about your product. When we started talking about pricing, and you don't have to go into full dollars and cents here, but that's up to you. But when I started listening to what you're saying quote-wise, I was expecting to hear, like, you know, ungodly numbers. I was like, okay, so if I was Tony Stark, I would have this much money, so this is how much I would need. And you're like, no, it's this. And I was like, oh, I could do that, you know, like, that's affordable. And if I'm saying it's affordable, and I'm a cheapskate, you know, like, that's incredible, because for something to be that interactive and that incredible for your advertising of what you're trying to get out there as a product, for it to be an affordable cost is tremendous.
Absolutely. And that's something we really wanted to take into account when we first started doing this is, you know, there's companies, I'll say, that I believe overcharge for certain services.
Sure.
And this service itself, it needs to be affordable at an entry level so that you can understand the full benefits, because just to get into the entry where I believe everyone should be. Everyone with a brick and mortar business, in my mind, should have a digital twin. And it's not a matter of if, it's when. And that's something I think you and I have talked about in the past.
Yeah.
But it's what you can do after that. And so it's owning your data. So let's say let's go back to the music industry a little bit. Let's say I'm a music venue owner. Let's say I own the Whiskey A Go-Go, right? Okay. And I want to own my venue and its digital rights for forever. So let's say I want to maybe sell it to a video game. Maybe Grand Theft Auto wanted the Whiskey A Go-Go inside there. So because someone has 3D mapped it, they'll have an exact blueprint of what I've done. They can then move it into, and I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole here, but they can move it into what we call game engines. Yep. And game engines are even a further driver of this technology and what it's can continue to do to create experiences and to make things truly interactive.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I could scan this office, and then all of a sudden I can put this office on Pluto.
Yep.
And I can change the colors. And then we can have avatars that we're walking around in. And it's a fully immersed experience.
Make mine thinner, please. No, and that's a really great point. I like what you're saying there, especially because with the idea of it being something that you own through and through, even in the digital sense, it also creates a convenience that you don't really think about that will give you that financial benefit in the end, because there's a lot of business conglomerate sites, residential and housing and real estate sites, and if you talk about like video games, like you're talking about, or anything like that, where they don't want to necessarily have to do all that work. But if you've already got it all set up and they can say, here, click, I want that. Yes, we'll pay you the fee, whatever that is, to use it. You know, you've already created like a nice transitionary guide, everybody wants something convenient. And you basically created a product that was convenient for people for budget cost for yourself, while already in addition marketing your business in the way that you were hoping to. So you got essentially an additional perk that isn't necessarily listed on the features.
Absolutely. And again, it's about kind of letting people get their feet wet.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone wants to dip the toe in the pool.
Yes.
And we're not going to price gouge you to dip your toe in the pool. We want you to try the technology. We want you to fully understand it and grasp it. Yep. And that's where our pricing came into effect, and where we really kind of sat down and said, hey, this is where we want everyone to be able to enter this space, and then it's up to them to decide how far they want to take it.
Sure.
And, just like I was saying, just like the Whiskey A Go-Go owner, owning their own venue. It's the same thing for a homeowner. If I know I'm owning my home, and let's say I know I'm going to pass it on to my kids, I want to own my digital space, because not only is it an architectural CAD file for remodels, it's a piece for insurance. I mean, there's so many things that go into this, that owning things digitally, I think, is a digital asset people don't really firmly grasp.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, I think it's funny that you say that, because we have all kinds of businesses that we've had on the show, but also that listen, right? And imagine, especially just recently, you hear about the storm that's hitting New Orleans, right? And then you hear about the fires in Northern California. Imagine these people had digital twins of their homes, so the insurance agents could go through it and say, look, we know what it was supposed to look like, we're going to maximize your dollar. And how much relief would that be after an atrocious go around like what people are going through right now?
Absolutely.
To know that they're going to maximize their dollar with their insurance agent because they have literally the best product that they can have representing it.
It's safe, and to that respect too, it's interactive, right? So not only are you mapping your house, let's say you wanted to lay out, again, this is private. So I want to make this one thing I want to make perfectly clear to everyone who's thinking about this, like, oh, it's online, people have it. No. So we've done things in the past for just this reason. People in fire areas, even earthquake safety prevention, things like that, they will actually lay out their valuables when we scan and with their pre-evaluated prices, and then we go in and add the tags for their insurance claims, so they see every piece in there, their car, how much it was worth, everything.
That's awesome.
And then it's archived and then put into an offline storage, so you can keep it yourself. And if anything ever happened, you just pull that up, send it to your insurance company, and everything is there.
Yeah, like I haven't even talked to you about this, and I haven't talked to her, but my sister is going to be getting a phone call from me because she lives on the East Coast, and they get hurricanes and all kinds of stuff, and for the most part, they've been safe where they're at, but, I mean, what a great thing for her to be able to have is, potential asset protection.
Absolutely. It's just something to keep in your back pocket, to keep you safe.
Well, yeah, and kind of rewinding a little bit, too, to what you were saying with, excuse me, with using the product in this manner as well, is it doesn't, for privacy's sake, I'm one of the biggest privacy people there is. Like, I cover my cameras up with tape, and if I don't already have a piece that's already there and all that stuff, I don't want people doing stuff that, with my personal information, which I know it's probably futile because they probably have all this stuff out there that's way smarter than I'll ever be and has already gotten my stuff.
Your neighbor's got your Wi-Fi password.
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's a reason that it's always slower than it should be. But it really is privatized because it's like, you're not saying I'm filming your house and releasing it to Google, and Google now forever has this of mine. It's, here's a file, just like anything else you've ever had in life. You can keep it on your zip drive. You can keep it on anything you want. And now you have it as something potentially like you would a document to kind of protect those assets. And I think that's an important thing for people to register. Absolutely.
And again, it's just one of those things that's catching up. There's major insurance firms. You guys, if you want to do your own research, please go to Matterport.com, look at their blog, look at everything on there to learn more about this technology and what they're doing, because the partner companies that they have are huge.
Yeah.
And so the people are already understanding this technology. It's just a matter of time before it's really catching up, and it's almost a forced thing. Like, oh, have we sent someone out to scan your home yet? Yeah. And one thing you did mention, and I don't want to cause any confusion, but Google does not allow to post images of residential or homes onto Google Street View. Only businesses. So you can't technically walk into a home on Google. They don't allow that.
That's good.
And I think that's a great thing. Yeah, I don't want someone walking into my home.
It's good to know they have restraint somewhere.
yeah, exactly. So it is just for businesses.
No, that's good to know. I actually was unaware of that restriction. Thank goodness they do, because otherwise I'd have some very unsettling pictures of myself in my underwear running around my house. That was too much for everybody at home. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you have the Google cars. Pretty soon you have the Google bots coming in with helmets on and running through your home.
For real. But I love your business approach. I love what you're doing, because you guys know that you know what you have, and you know so much that you have it, that you're giving a quality price and allowing people to step in and say, let us take the tone approach, like you said, and we're so confident that you will take the next step after that.
Absolutely.
And even if you're not, you're going to get enough out of the first entry level that maybe it was okay for where you're at personally. Like maybe it was just a resident for your assets. But for any small business owner, for real estate agents, for a world that's been very virtualized after COVID, this is a really great tool in your arsenal to be able to utilize in a manner that is going to be effective for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So, kind of an interesting question. I know that you and Megan worked this together, and you got in there from doing this from the music industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
music and events.
Yeah. So do you guys, because here's something I've noticed a lot, is obviously the people that are listening to podcasts a lot of times are the people that are already doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I mean, you yourself already have, you're kind of like your YouTube influence with your brother, all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so for people in that realm, like I have several friends, a couple who are actually very successful social media advisors. What would you say for them in this particular realm? Like what would benefit them from like the background that you came from that they could take this technology and run with?
Oh my gosh.
I know, can of worms. Just
I know. It's which lane do you want to go down? So I know you're off camera, but I'm gonna point to James. We were just talking outside about the new iPhone, right?
Right.
LiDAR.
Okay.
And so, layman's terms, LiDAR allows you to, through the same process, scan, and it creates a polygon of anything that you're scanning. Wow. And it creates a matrix and a polygon around an object. So let's say I had my iPhone and I was like, I really like that microphone. I'd love to put that in my new music video. So you pull out my iPhone, takes a few minutes with an app, sometimes less, 30 seconds depending on the object. And now I have this object. I have a full blueprint of this object in 3D. I have its full sphere. I can then take it into my software, cut it out, and then I can put it on my green screen behind me. Yeah. And this is where it's changing. I think a lot of influencers you mentioned and social media personalities, they're really starting to grasp 3D technology for the first time.
Right.
Because I think a lot of people stopped when they saw Marvel movies and things like that.
Sure.
They're like, you need $20 million to make something like that.
Right.
And the fact is, you need a laptop and the will to do it.
Right.
And you can do it out of your bedroom.
Right.
And there's some amazing projects that people are doing full, short movies, short films, fully in 3D. And it's changing how people are looking at influencers.
Yep.
And to that respect, I don't know if you've heard of virtual influencers. And
I have not.
So virtual influencers are definitely already the future. Barbie is now virtual. They will never do a person Barbie. The Colonel just went virtual. So I know they did that KFC program with all the different actors. No longer. And this allows them to control that entity forever. You never have to worry about if an actor gets into a scandal or or anything like that. And so virtual influencers are going to continue to be a growth channel for a lot of already prominent influencers.
Yeah.
And it'll be their virtual character. And it opens up another can of worms of where they're using these virtual characters, where they're influencing, and that's opening what you guys are seeing going on right now in this digital NFT crypto craze, and that's all based off virtual worlds and things like that. Yep. And that's where you'll see them start diving in, where their digital assets are worth more, right? So like Prada, instead of designing a $5,000 handbag, they're going to design a $5,000 handbag that's digital that 10 million people can own and pay for in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And that all comes back to the same technology. I mean, it really all started with photogrammetry and what these cameras are doing. And it's just evolved from there, and now it's in our pockets.
Yeah.
And anyone can do it.
Well, and like you said, everybody in every walk of life is picking up on it. I follow sports as well, and there was an NFL player, it was either early this year or last year, that accepted most of his contract in Bitcoin and essentially already made a ton of money off of the investment. And that's going to become a much more common thing because they realize we only need X. They're making millions either way. We'll take a few million up front, and then I'll watch it, go crazy over the next couple of years.
Yep.
So I actually maximize my contract, and it protects it from a lot of the taxes too.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of funny how that stuff pans out. But I wanted to bring up the social media influencers because I feel like, in a lot of ways, they're the ones that are pushing the industry in general. And when I say industry, I mean business. Because they're kind of what's become of we can make anything of ourselves from the inside of our bedroom.
Yeah.
And still be successful and have happy lives and all this stuff. And so something like this where they can give somebody a more full experience of their lives or of their product or whatever they're doing, it's right in their alley because they're always the ones that are kind of pushing the edge of, well, that's not a real job. You can't just film yourself talking to a camera at home and make money, and now they're laughing at their parents because they're making more than their parents ever did doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And, so I wanted to throw that out there because if any of them are watching this, which they should be, this is a really great avenue for you to start thinking because that's a really competitive industry. And so trying to get into something like this earlier would be a really big step for them, I think.
Absolutely. I think anyone who is a young influencer, I take that back. Any influencer or anyone just trying to get into this, there are programs I would recommend. One is Blender. It's an open source program, so that means anyone you can use it for free. There's blog articles, there's a huge forum community on it, and you can basically learn how to model, create environments and this is for multiple industries. This is for architecture, this is for AEC, this is for, pretty much anything you can imagine.
Yeah.
Eventually is going to be built more permanently inside these game engines because it's kind of a future-proof idea behind it, right?
Right.
It's like, I can do a lot with a CAD file. So for anyone not aware of a CAD file, essentially it's a blueprint of a building that's designed in an architecture software, CAD. ArchiCAD, Architect, ArchiCAD. There's so many different CAD, BIMX.
Yeah.
Anyways, so owning that is like owning your structure. It's your blueprint. And so eventually when everything is fully 3D modeled as a digital twin, you'll be able to keep that file and update it for the lifespan of that building or the structure that you're creating.
Yeah.
And so, definitely I think anyone who's really just trying to either understand this industry or what's going on, Blender's a great place to start. My personal favorite is Unreal Engine. I just think it's amazing what they've done, especially in our industry. They've bought up like massive companies that we were already using. They bought them out. Yeah. And it's just incredible. If you guys want to check out the Bird's Eye View, our Instagram, you'll see what we've done with our MetaHuman by Unreal Engine. And we've created a MetaHuman influencer. And he's a virtual real estate agent.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He sells virtual land. So it's a crazy thing to say.
It is.
He sells,
it's the world we live
virtual
in.
land. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like you said, back when the internet started, back in my day, and all you heard was and the connecting and all this stuff, we never knew the possibilities, right? Like, I remember the first time any kind of Flash playing was done. It was around the time of like Hamster Dance and all these like ridiculous like stop motion with just music playing in the background. It might as well have been a silent film, with just music added to it. And no one would have ever guessed that it ended up where it did today. But that's the reality of being able to connect on podcasts and other social medias. You get to talk to people and listen to people and experience what people are doing product-wise and get ahead of that now, so you're not maybe so far behind and watch your business struggle because it wasn't part of the internet craze. And so it's great what you guys are doing to make this known now and make it a viable product for people to get into now, because I think that makes it a lot easier for people to get their feet wet.
Absolutely. It's kind of you have to have a starting point. Yeah. And we don't want to be we've encountered competitors that are just kind of like like client not interested, and that's just not the way we want to do it. We'd rather educate people correctly. And we're not worried if we talk to you and you're like, that's crazy, and then a year later you come back and say, hey, maybe I didn't quite understand, let's talk some more. We will talk some more, We know this can be an intimidating technology, intimidating process. And so we just want to make sure we educate people, because we are firm believers. I mean, we're in. We've been in this industry for a few years now, and we've watched just crazy things happen with the technology, and we've done some amazing things, some really awesome projects we're working on. Our new website's going to be going live. You guys will get to see. We're working on this new thing that uses geosatellite data, both from NASA and Google, and we use that data and we create a full 3D blueprint of land. So let's say you're on the other side of the country and you're buying a parcel of land or something, you'll be able to see it in full scale and basically interact with that piece of land in 3D as well.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's phenomenal. Well, guys, I think that's going to be where we touch up for today, because I have a feeling we'll have Gordan back on the show. When I say I have a feeling, we're going to have Gordan back on the show. My nerddom inside wouldn't allow me to not have him back on the show. But we really appreciate your time here. And, one of the things that you mentioned right here at the end is one of my favorite things about this podcast is I don't even know if I can say a small business at this point that we've supported and brought on here that didn't say that one of the biggest things was education. And that is a huge part of what we want to support in small business is when it's not just about the dollars and cents, it's about an education and an information in a world where there's so much information that people have a hard time deciphering. And so when they can find honest people with integrity that are passionate about what they do, like yourself, it makes it easy for us to bring you on here and to sell you guys 9 Ways to Sunday because we believe what you guys do is awesome. We know it's great for people, and we know that if they come to you, they're going to be leaving totally just transformed because they're going to get a whole lot of information that they never knew was available to them.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Two Mortgage Guys podcast. I'm going to do this because I always do this to James, and I put my fingers all over so he has to figure out where he wants to put the links for YouTube and see if he actually does it or if he just is lame and put it at the bottom of the screen. All of the sites that were mentioned today, we will have linked available to you, whether it's on Spotify or YouTube or any of our other channels. They will be available for you to find, and I do encourage you to go check out Birdseye, their social media, their website. Like he said, he's launching a new website with a lot of their products today, and it's going to be a really phenomenal experience for a lot of you who are just now learning about this product and get to see exactly how awesome this works. So thanks again for coming in, Gordan.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
All right.